So a pleasant good day once again to all my loyal YouTube fans and followers across the globe. We again are back to do another presentation. We appreciate your support and we count on you for future support. As usual, I greet you in my customary way. I, Imo Rameses Bakari, your psychologist and life coach from the magical community of Point Fortin in Trinidad and Tobago, located in the Southern Caribbean. It is my desire to inspire you to rise higher. It is my desire to encourage you to do better. It is my desire to partner with you in 2024 to inspire you to never ever give up. And it is my desire to ensure that through this channel we continue sharing a good word and educating you so that you can be better equipped to deal with the vagaries of life. And this will be done through coaching, through counseling, through motivational speaking, through writing, through public speaking, feature addresses, and through any other constructive means that will allow your potential to be fulfilled. So we are committed to that, we assure you of that, and we will work with you to ensure that it becomes a reality. So the motivational word for today is that there is always room. There is always room for improvement. And even though you're at the top, you can't stop improvement, because if you stop improving, complacency will step in and then you will slide back down the ladder. So there's room for improvement, and we want to encourage you to remain steadfast to ensure that you can, become the best version of yourselves. We also remind you, based on the services that we advertise, to give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. Book an appointment, buy a book, take any courses, contribute, as I said, through the links, patreon.com, and the YP links. So the presentation today that I will do is entitled Reflections on the recently concluded 2020 World Cup and the first test match between West Indies and England. Now, I have been a cricket fan since a young man, since a boy to now a grown man. And we all have known in the past, in the 1970s and 80s, and to a minor extent in the 1990s, we were a dominant force in cricket. And cricket has always been touted as one of the most powerful forms of unity among Caribbean people, in that we are a small part of the globe, small population compared to other parts of the globe, and yet we have been able to produce world-rated players, whether it's the Garfield Sobers, Vivian Richards, Richie Richardson, the genius Brian Lara, Anderson Roberts, Michael Holding, Joel Garner, Colin Croft, Malcolm Marshall, Lawrence Rowe. We have produced cricketers of the highest order, and cricketers who are relevant even up to this day because of their massive contribution to the sport. It has promoted a lot of love and a lot of high sense of self-esteem among Caribbean people. It has brought Caribbean people together in their numbers at home and abroad, and it has given us a sense of pride. But we all know that sense of pride has been dented severely over the past 2.5 decades in terms of very inconsistent performances and not really seeing a clear path forward that many desire for. So in the recent competition, we had a situation where there was some level of hope that we could have at least reached the final. Some argued at least a semi-final, and we were hoping for better. Although when we dig deep and honestly at our team situation in different ways, we will agree that there were many weaknesses that would not, fully resolve, but we were still hoping for the best. So at the end of the day, we had a final between India and South Africa, which India came out the victor. And I must say that the two best teams definitely reached the final. All right, they played unbeaten, throughout. They demonstrated the consistency in terms of batting, bowling, and fielding. They also displayed a lot of astuteness in terms of their captaincy, both Rohit Sharma and Makram from South Africa. And we have to ask ourselves some very, very, very important questions. We also had a situation where Afghanistan were very weak in batting, but they had some exceptionally skillful bowlers that allowed them to reach as far as semi-finals. And we also congratulate our genius Brian Lara, who made that prediction even before the competition began that Afghanistan would have reached the semi-final. We can also give some praise to our local boy Bravo, who was their bowling coach. So when we look at our West Indies team, we didn't make the last World Cup before this one. We were ranked about 8th or 9th in the world. And under the coaching of Darren Samia and his team, we arrived around 3rd or 4th in the world, which is in fact a big achievement and something that must be noted. All right. As we all know, when he was appointed, there was a lot of controversy, there was a lot of comments as to his fitness, his coaching credentials. But give and take, he has made a decent contribution to date. But having said all of that, we have some recurring problems in terms of our approach, in terms of playing T20 cricket. Many have argued that T20 cricket is a gamble, and on any given day, any team could win. That is a fact. But the fundamentals of cricket, well honed, certainly will come into play in being very beneficial to playing the T20 game. So we have had some players like Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, who had failed before the final. But I mean, he has contributed tremendously to India. Everybody knows his ability, and he rose to the occasion in the final by scoring 76. Now, why I'm quoting these guys is that they have been exposed to playing a lot of Test cricket, and they play all formats, and they are pretty effective. On the bowling side, we have bowlers like Rabada, we have bowlers like Norte, right? You have the number of spinners. They have played a lot of Test cricket, and that has honed their skills in terms of execution in the shorter format. Now, why is any team could win a T20 game? It must be said that no team who is using power hitting as their main strategy will always be successful. And we heard our coach and our captain of our team, Darren Sami and Rockman Powell, talking about they have a model and a way that they play. And certainly it was based on power hitting was a big feature of it. We had a combination of opening the attack with Akil Hussain, supported by Asima, and that kind of stuff. And many commentators have rightly said that the approach was very predictable. And as we know in life, in leadership, adaptability is key. And we saw that very much displayed by Makram from South Africa, who was very, very, very adaptable in terms of how we rotated his bowlers, right? And how when we played against the West Indies, he held back Rabada till about the 18th over and gave us a dose of spin. Because fundamentally, we must admit and we must be truthful that our batsmen are fundamentally deficient against spin bowling, barring Nicholas Puran, Ruston Chase, Shai Hope. Most of the other players are not very competent against spin bowling. So that's a major weakness. So I made the point that no team can be successful with power hitting is your only your main strategy. No team can be successful in a T20 game or any game of cricket with weak fielding. And we must say, generally speaking, our fielding, our agility, etc. in the field was below expectations. All right. We must also recognize that to be successful in T20, sometimes we might not always take wickets, but but you have to be able to stem the flow of runs. You also have to have personnel in your team who are very adept and skilled at bowling on the dead. And these are some of the areas where we have some glaring weaknesses. We have a problem that has been spoken a lot about publicly and by the players themselves about the ability to rotate the strike. And we saw in that T20 World Cup there was a high percentage of dot balls throughout many of the innings played by the West Indies, indicating that that is a problem yet to be solved. Because jump high, jump low, you will not always be able to hit a 4 or a 6, and you must be able to rotate the strike. And that brings me to the point of a batsman such as Nicholas Puran. Without a doubt, one of the most talented T20 batsmen in the world, and some commentators have advocated that given his skill set, he might even be a good bet in playing the test format. I mean, that is left to be seen. Many have said they don't know if the desire is there, but that is left to be seen. But the point is, his basic approach in playing the T20 game is to hit as many balls for 4s and 6s. And we all know whether it's a T20 game or one day international or a test match, that approach from batting will bring a downfall. And certainly it has brought its downfall on several occasions. Because no matter the situation in the game, he plays the same way fundamentally, with very few exceptions. So it has said to me, notwithstanding his great talent, cognitively, he is very weak. And he will need a lot of help in terms of strengthening the cognitive part of the approach to playing cricket. Because that talent is tremendous, but that talent will always fail if there is not that ability to reason and appreciate what the game situation is. We have heard a lot of talk about match awareness, situational awareness. We have seen a lot of weaknesses with that, with our players, all right, in terms of the inability to adapt and change their approach and understand the situation and play accordingly. We also have to question sometimes selection in terms of pitches, in terms of trying something differently, all right? But we had a situation where Obed McCoy performed creditably against Afghanistan on the St. Lucian pitch. It was argued by many that his style of bowling could have been very effective against England, and lo and behold, he was not selected. And given his style of bowling, given the momentum coming out of that game, it might have been a good bet to play him. Right? He was tried on the Barbados pitch, but certainly his style of bowling was very much ineffective on that pitch. So I am saying, going forward, we need to correct the fundamentals, right? We need to have a more dynamic approach, a more multifaceted approach, and not just a power hitting kind of methodology. We need to mix the bowlers more. We need to develop greater skill set among the bowlers. Now, Azari Joseph is a wicket-taking bowler, and he has gotten a number of wickets in T20 matches. But he tends to have a likeness for pitching the ball short, and many times he's severely treated by the batsmen, right? So we need to see great improvement in that area in terms of adaptability, in terms of understanding the pitches, in terms of following the fundamentals of pitching up the ball, bowling on the test length, line, etc., which will always give you an opportunity to get wickets. Now this brings me to the point of we had Shamari Joseph in the team. He was touted as an X factor before the competition, and he was totally X out during the competition. So if he was selected for his pace, at least an opportunity should have been given to him. Because when we look at the South Africa team, we had Andre Norte. Clocking in the 90s was very difficult to play, was very effective. He had batsmen jumping. He was getting wickets. I am not saying Shamar might have been equally successful, but at least it showed that there was a space for pace, and it would have been nice to give an opportunity to at least see how he went in terms of his performances. So going forward, we need to maintain a core of players. We need to introduce new players. We definitely have to have improved coaching practices. We got to have more T20 competitions. We got to have a more serious evaluation in terms of the kind of teams that we select. We need to have conversations at the management level in terms of how we are treating with players in terms of their survival, which is vital, in terms of their availability to play for the West Indies. We need to get very concrete and strategic with these things because we have a situation with the Indian players. I mean, they are the biggest market in the cricketing world where their players only play in IPL. They play all formats, but they only play the IPL. Many of our cricketers, because of limited cricket in the region, have to find ways to survive. Because of our poor performances at the test level, we do not get many test matches. So it's a very dicey situation, but we need to see more in-depth thinking. There has been a lot of talk, but we have been seeing very little action in terms of implementation of many reports done over the years to improve West Indies cricket. And we continue to hear a lot of talk. When we look at the first test against England, obviously, our bowling attack is a decent attack. But we are very, very, very weak on the batting side, which we all know and appreciate. In the Australia series, we had one or two decent performances with the bat. That first test, the weaknesses were borne out clearly. Most of the players are inexperienced in playing in English conditions. The leader of the team is not leading, and that's a big area of concern. He can't continue to lead if he is not leading from the front. It has been argued that his style of batting puts a lot of pressure on the team, that he is too defensive. I don't think anyone can argue with that because batting is always a mix of defense and attack, and fudging around and then scoring minimally, and with the weakness of the batting, it presents a greater challenge for the other batsmen to succeed. Nonetheless, we are hoping that these guys can dig deep in the second test and rise above expectation. But we know that when we face the reality, we are very thin in terms of the skill set, particularly to play in English conditions. If they can muster a decent score of over 300 with the attack we have, we can definitely be competitive. We might even be in a position to win. But scoring 121, 136, under 200 in a test match, certainly you already have lost before you move forward. So, come the second test, we are hoping for improved performance by the batsmen particularly. I think the bowlers definitely will hold their own. We have great skill in Jaden Seals. He has shown it coming back into the team. We have pace of Shamal Joseph. Hopefully, he can rise to the occasion. Hopefully, he can keep his chin up. Hopefully, he can play more of the red ball game. I remember after his success in Australia, Ambrose said that he really hopes that he focuses on the red ball game. Ian Bishop also made the appeal for corporate Caribbean and the board to put something in place to really help him hone his skills in the red ball game. As I said in the beginning, many of the very skillful players in the T-20 format, their skill set was honed by playing test cricket. So our love for the team continues, the pain that we feel continues, but we have to support, but at the same time, whilst we support, we want to see tangible efforts made to really improve this thing in a manner that can really bring forth results. At the end of the day, the hype, the talk is one thing, but we have to return to a place where we can win a World Cup. I said in analyzing our fortunes at the beginning, before the competition, we have a chance as good as any other team, but we will really have to play. Because when you look at the other teams, they are very strong teams, very skillful teams. So it was definitely not an easy path to travel. I hope deep learning took place. I hope that we see the improvement in terms of coaching, in terms of playing, in terms of structuring, and all of the things that all of the commentators have said, including myself. Let us rally, but at the same time, let us see tangible steps being taken to improve the fortunes of our cricket. So these are my reflections as a cricket fan. I thank you for listening. I thank you for viewing. And of course, I ask you to subscribe to our channel, to contribute via our YP and Patreon links, to partake in our courses, book a counseling and coaching appointment, and to help us become the force that we are destined to be through this channel. So thank you, and stay tuned for another powerful presentation next week. Please God. Bye.